This is a horrific case of a father of four that eliminated all four of his children, age 6, 9, 10, and 18. And the thing about it is that he not only eliminated all four of his children, he put their bodies in his trunk of his car in the garage for 5 months. You can't make this stuff up. And I can't wrap my head around this horrific, tragic story. He left the bodies of his kids that he eliminated, 6, 9, 10, and 18, in the trunk of his car in the garage. And I'm like, I I can't even, like I said, wrap my head around his actions. He had to be in a mental crisis. Had to be. That's the only conclusions that I can come to that would maybe make sense. I mean, I'm not saying it makes sense to do that, but to make sense of how he could do something so tragic as that and then still stay in the house knowing that the bodies of his four babies are out there in the garage, in the trunk. But I do have a news clip to share with you. So without further ado, let's listen and get into this news clip. Let's go.
Four of his own children faces new charges. The bodies were discovered in the trunk of a car at a Johnston County home 5 months after the murders.
This is a horrific story. New in the last few hours, Wellington Dickens III appeared in court for the first time. He was denied bond and charged with 3 additional murders. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Ashley Rowe. The children were ages 6, 9, 10, and 18. Officials say their father called 911 and confessed to killing them. We have live team coverage of this tragic case with new reaction and insight into the family at the center of this. Let's begin with WRAL's Sean Gallagher live with new details in the investigation. Sean?
Ashley, we spoke to a family member of Wellington Dickens to learn more about who he is, an Iraq War veteran, a widower, and now an accused murderer in the deaths of his 4 kids.
The first matter we have before you, Your Honor, is Wellington Dickens III.
Clad in a striped orange jumpsuit, Wellington Dickens heard the serious charges he's facing.
At this time, I'm going to order that the defendant be held without bond.
Charges the sheriff's office says he's admitted to. Monday night, Johnston County sheriffs say Dickens called 911, admitting he killed his children. Deputies found 4 kids dead inside the trunk of a vehicle in the garage at Dickens' home and believe they were there for a long period of time. According to charging documents, investigators believe the children have been dead since May 1st. Believed to be Dickens' biological children, ages 6, 9, and 10, and his 18-year-old stepchild inside. Dickens' 3-year-old son was found alive inside the home.
I haven't really had time to process it.
Dickens' great-uncle Charles Moore spoke to WRAL this afternoon, telling us Dickens is an Iraq War vet.
He was in the service and he had problems ever since he came back, I think.
Court records show Dickens married his wife Stephanie in 2015. A year later, they gave birth to a baby girl. According to court filings, WakeMed submitted a report of suspicion of abuse or neglect against Dickens and his wife that year, accusing Dickens and his wife of refusing medical care for their newborn daughter with jaundice. It's an accusation Dickens challenged and sued WakeMed over. Dickens' wife died in April of 2024 due to pregnancy complications, and now 4 of his children are dead, with law enforcement pointing the finger at him.
Like anybody else, I was just shocked, you know. You hear talk of that happening to other people, but you just wouldn't think it would happen to one of your own.
And Dickens will be back in court here in Johnston County tomorrow. 3 of those additional murder charges were filed after his first appearance, so he needs to come back to hear those charges against him. But there are still so many questions about this investigation that we don't know yet. That's why we want to bring in Heidi Kirk right now up in Zebulon outside of Dickens' home. And Heidi, it has been a very active day up there.
Sean, an extremely active day. We've been here on the scene since about 12:30 this afternoon, and from our viewpoint, not much has changed. That investigation is still extremely active. Let me step out of the way and show you what we are seeing as of this moment. You will still see crime scene tape surrounding that house, multiple law enforcement officials also on the ground here, as well as the SBI. They've had it locked down pretty much all day long. Now, we have gone door to door down this entire street asking people what they knew about this family. What we've learned from almost everyone we talked to is that they were quiet and kept to themselves. A crime scene now active for close to 20 hours, drawing eyes from up and down this street.
It's definitely a horrible thing to happen. Wouldn't wish anything on this to anybody.
It hits close to home for Fran Mikowski.
I walk by that house almost every single day.
She didn't know Wellington Dickens or the rest of his family personally, but remembers when they moved into the house on Springtooth Drive.
I never saw a child outside playing. I never saw him mowing a lawn. The only time I ever saw them was the day they moved in. And even then it was very... You just get the feeling that someone's to themselves.
This is the home where law enforcement staged since yesterday, within the hour towing a silver sedan from the garage. The 4 children were found dead inside the trunk of a car last night, one alive inside the home. It's a family that's already experienced tragedy. Many neighbors remember a food drive circulating throughout the neighborhood after Dickens' wife passed away last year unexpectedly.
Everyone in this neighborhood reached out to him, and this is a very new neighborhood. I've been here 3 years. Most everyone else has been here about a year and a half, 2 years. There was an outpouring of what can we do.
Now she's wondering what else went on behind closed doors at this home in this normally quiet neighborhood. You just really can't imagine the feeling from these people that are on this street, looking out their window, watching this investigation play out. Now, one thing that every single person that we talked to today expressed to me is just concern about that 3-year-old boy who was found alive. Everyone is thinking about him tonight. Of course, we will continue to stay on top of this. Heidi Kirk, WRL News.
The end of this report. Y'all, I have so many questions. You never know what goes on behind closed doors, never. And you never know what people are going through. Now, the first thing is what I don't understand is that we have 4 children in the trunk of a car in his garage for 5 months. Their bodies were in there for 5 months. And y'all saw the neighborhood. It was filled with homes close by, very close by. It wasn't like that they were like a mile away or apart from each other. It was an actual neighborhood where you have one house after the other. And no one smelled a foul odor in the whole time those kids were in the trunk of his car. I'm dumbfounded from that because I don't understand why there would not be some kind of odor. Another thing is this is so sad. This is so horrific. He himself called 911 and reported that he himself eliminated his children 5 months ago. Now, I don't know, and you heard the ages 6, 9, 10, 6, 9, 10, and 18. And I don't know, he did not eliminate them all at the same time. And I don't know, I'm not sure what order. My thing is, I didn't really understand the 18-year-old. He was older, and it seemed like he would have, or I don't know. I don't know what to think because you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Clearly, his mindset, his mentality was gone. He was mentally unstable. He had to be. That is the only conclusion that I can come up with to make sense. He had to be. Now, you heard them say that his wife passed last year. I think it was last April 2024 or May. And so the children were home from she actually passed from complication of a pregnancy. And you heard them say that the children were homeschooled. So the wife probably took care of all of that. She even took care of him with his maybe mental issues. She made sure maybe he took his medications if he was taking medication, but she held the family down. And I think that when he lost her, when she died, he snapped. He didn't know what to do. See, the kids, like I said, was homeschooled. So it was like, well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I mean, it's no excuse. I'm just saying he had to have snapped. And you heard the neighbors say that she never saw the family. She never saw the kids outside, nothing like that. So I'm thinking they didn't have any relatives. They didn't have any family. No, nobody ever came to their house. That's what it sounds like. And they were not visible neighbors. You heard the neighbors say that. The only time she saw them is when they moved in the home. So they never even came out. Y'all, this is great. Let's say, and you heard his uncle say, his great uncle, I believe, Charles Moore, say that he still cannot, he had a time to process what happened, what he did. I don't honestly think he would ever process it. I don't think you, because this is something so horrific and so tragic. How can you really process that? Now, he did, his uncle did mention that he was an Iraq war vet. So, and he had issues after he came back home. And so maybe that was a part of it, y'all. But this is so sad. So sad. And like I say, the only thing that I could say clearly, it was things going on in the house that nobody knew, not even relatives, family, nothing. All his uncle could say is that he was an Iraq war vet and that he had issues when he came back. And then you heard them say that the medical center kind of filed charges because they didn't want their baby that had jaundice to seek any medical care. So like I said, mindset is everything. You never know what people are going through. You don't know what kind of life they have behind. They got very quiet to themselves, people, neighbors, family, period. And it's just so sad that he eliminated all of the children except the 3-year-old. Now, can you imagine? I don't know. Did he take care of the 3? I guess he did take care of the 3. They said that the 3-year-old was in good condition. He was okay. I don't know. What kind of mind? He had to be. He had to be, has lost his sanity. That's the only conclusion, like I say, I can come through. And that's why I try to be so kind to people, even if I can't really help them, but you can always be kind to people because you never know what people are going through. Your kindness could possibly save a person's life. For real. It could possibly save a person's life. And as far as, it's so much that's going on in today's society, people losing their job. You had Amazon that let go, like or laid off 14,000 people. You had UPS eliminate 48,000 jobs. You had people that was losing their SNAP benefits. You had people losing a roof over their house, roof over their heads, loss of jobs, everything. It is so much chaos that's going on into today's society. So it's important to be kind towards one another. The other thing is that when I was coming up, we were really neighbors. We watched out for each other. Some people was in people business, you know how that is. But we really watched out for each other. We watched out for each other kids, and but the neighbors today are not the same as the neighbors that when I was coming up. Totally different. They barely speak, and you barely know who your next door neighbor is. And some every now and then, if they've been living there a while, they might, raise their hand and say hi. But neighbors are not like they were years ago, not when I was coming up. So this is so sad. And again, it's such a horrific story. You never know what people's minds are. You never know. But tell me y'all thoughts. What do you think? Please share your comments. People can have different perspective of things that I probably haven't even thought of. And I love to read your comments. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and to subscribe. But please, again, share your thoughts and your comments about this thing. What do you think happened to him? Like I said, I personally think that he just snapped after he lost his wife. He was so used to her taking care of everything, taking care of him, taking care of the kids, taking care of the house. And he lost all of that. He lost that. And then didn't know where to turn or had nowhere to turn. I mean, the neighbors did have a food drive for him and his children after his wife passed, but that certainly wasn't enough. But they didn't know that because he was, they were to themselves. They were quiet and they kept to themselves. But again, I don't know. Please share your comments and your thoughts. But until the next video, I wish you nothing but peace and blessings. Take care of yourself and each other. Thanks for watching.